The breaking point. Commander Maya Chen stared out the viewport of the Earth diplomatic vessel Artemis, her reflection ghosting against the stars beyond. At 43, she'd spent almost half her life representing humanity to the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species that had welcomed Earth into their fold 30 years ago. That welcome had come with terms, harsh restrictions on human expansion, technology development, and resource acquisition, all in the name of peaceful integration. Maya's dark eyes narrowed as she watched the Concordat patrol ships that constantly shadowed Earth vessels. Peaceful integration had been a lie from the start. Commander, Lieutenant Rivera's voice broke through her thoughts. The Galactic Council has denied our petition. Again. Maya turned from the viewport, her face carefully neutral despite the anger churning inside her. Their reasoning. The same as before. Earth technology development must be monitored and approved by Concordat oversight committees. Our asteroid mining expansions are denied on grounds of ecological conservation. Rivera couldn't keep the bitterness from his voice. Maya nodded slowly. The Concordat preached conservation, while their own corporations stripped entire systems bare. It was never about conservation. It was about keeping humanity contained, controlled, and dependent. Thank you, Lieutenant. Prepare for return to Earth. The Secretary General will want our report. As Rivera left, Maya allowed herself one moment of unprofessional rage, her hand tightening into a fist. 30 years of diplomacy, of bowing and scraping, of proving humanity's worth, and still they were treated as primitives barely out of their caves. She didn't know that within 24 hours, everything would change. The attack came without warning. Maya was awakened at 300 hours by the emergency comm. Secretary General Okafor's face appeared, ashen and aged 10 years overnight. Maya, the Saturn research colony has been hit. It's bad. Maya felt cold dread settle in her stomach. Concordat. Yes, they're claiming the colony was developing prohibited weapons technology. They conducted a regulatory enforcement action. How many? Maya asked, already knowing the answer would be unacceptable. 873 dead, including families. Okafor's voice cracked. Including your brother and his family. The world stopped. Maya's breath caught in her throat as the Secretary General continued speaking, words about diplomatic channels and emergency meetings washing over her like distant waves. Her brother, his wife, their 2 children, 8 and 12, gone, because the Concordat decided a research station studying Saturn's atmosphere needed to be neutralized. When she spoke, Maya's voice was steady, belying the hurricane within. What's the official response? We're lodging a formal protest with the Galactic Council. I need you back on Earth immediately. Maya nodded mechanically, disconnected the call, and stared at her reflection in the dark screen. Something inside Commander Maya Chen, diplomat, peacemaker, believer in cooperation, cracked that night. Something else, something harder and colder, began to take its place. The Concordat emergency session was a mockery of justice. Maya stood before the council, 17 alien representatives seated high above the human delegation, physically manifesting their perceived superiority. The Grand Arbiter, a towering Selachian with luminescent tendrils cascading down its torso, regarded her with what passed for sympathy among its kind. The Concordat regrets the loss of life at your Saturn outpost, the Arbiter intoned, its voice resonating through the chamber. However, our investigators have confirmed the presence of prohibited military research. That's a lie, Maya replied, her voice calm despite the fury burning through her veins. Saturn Colony was conducting atmospheric research. You've been provided full access to their research data. Data that was clearly falsified, countered Ambassador Tyrvik of the Hekroth Dominion, mandibles clicking in agitation. Our enforcers discovered quantum disruptor components. Components your enforcers brought with them. Maya shot back, dropping diplomatic niceties. We have surveillance footage of your troops planting evidence before destroying the colony. A murmur rippled through the chamber. The arbiter's tendrils stiffened, a sign of anger. Such accusations are serious, Commander Chen. Do you have this footage? It was transmitted to Earth before your forces destroyed the colony's communication array. We're prepared to share it with the full council. The lie came easily. There was no footage. The attack had been too sudden, too thorough. But Maya had seen the Concordat use this tactic before against other species. Plant evidence, justify aggression, extract concessions from the victims. Not this time. The council chambers erupted in debate, some species calling for an investigation, others dismissing human complaints as primitive theatrics. The outcome was predictable. Earth would be sanctioned for provocative research, ordered to dismantle additional colonies, and forced to accept more Concordat oversight officers on their remaining outposts. After the verdict, Ambassador Terevik approached Maya, his hulking armored form looming over her. You should be grateful, human, he rumbled quietly. The Hecroft suggested full quarantine of your system, but cooler heads prevailed. For now. Maya met his gaze, 4 black eyes staring into her too. The Concordat has made a mistake, Ambassador, one you'll come to regret. Tervik's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. Brave words from a species without allies, without advanced technology, without options. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. The truth, Commander Chen. Earth was a mistake. Your species was discovered too soon, integrated before you were ready. Some of us are simply correcting that error. He stepped back, rejoining his delegation, leaving Maya with the cold realization that the Concordat had never intended equality. Humanity had been welcomed as a resource to be exploited, a potential threat to be contained, never as partners. When Maya returned to Earth, she was a different woman. Secretary General Okafor found Maya in her brother's empty apartment in New Geneva, staring at family photos, moments frozen in time of people who no longer existed. The Security Council has accepted the Concordat's terms, Okafor said without preamble. We're dismantling the Jupiter and Neptune stations. Additional concessions to follow. Maya didn't turn around. Why? You know why. Their fleet could glass our entire planet in hours. We have no choice. Now Maya turned, and Okafor took a step back at what he saw in her eyes. We always have a choice, she said. We've spent 30 years playing by their rules, following their restrictions, being good little humans. She picked up a photo of her niece and nephew, and they killed them anyway. Maya, did you know? She interrupted, that 17 Earth megacorporations have been quietly developing technology the Concordat forbids. Stealth systems, quantum weaponry, FTL innovations, all hidden in plain sight, disguised as consumer products or environmental systems. Okafor stared at her. How do you know this? Because I've been talking to them. For years, preparing for this moment. That's treason, Okafor whispered. No, Maya countered. Treason would be continuing to surrender our future to aliens who see us as cattle, who murder our people and expect us to thank them for their restraint. She placed the photo down carefully. I'm resigning my commission, effective immediately. To do what exactly? Maya's smile was cold. To show the Concordat what happens when you back humans into a corner. They called it the Phoenix Protocol. Not a government program. Governments were too closely watched by Concordat observers. This was something else, a shadow network of corporations, retired military, scientists, and ordinary citizens with the skills and motivation to fight back. Within 6 months of the Saturn massacre, the Phoenix Protocol had established hidden bases throughout the solar system, retrofitted civilian ships with military capabilities, and begun planning their response. Maya, now operating under the callsign Nemesis, stood before the assembled leaders of the resistance in an abandoned mining facility beneath the lunar surface. The Concordat believes we're broken, she told them. They think we'll accept our punishment and return to being obedient subjects. They'd forgotten something fundamental about humanity. She activated the holographic display, showing their first target, a Concordat monitoring station in the asteroid belt, lightly defended but crucial to their surveillance network. We don't break, we burn, and from those ashes, we rise. The attack was precision itself. 3 converted mining vessels, their hulls reinforced, and their drilling equipment repurposed into weapons the Concordat had never seen before. They hit the station from multiple vectors, disabled its communications, and boarded before the Concordat forces could even sound an alarm. Maya led the boarding party herself, moving through the station corridors with cold efficiency. The alien defenders, primarily Hekroth and Selakian, fought well but were unprepared for humans fighting with nothing left to lose. In the station's control center, Maya came face to face with its commander, a Selakian officer whose tendrils writhed in fear. "Impossible," the alien gasped. "Humans don't have this technology." Maya removed her helmet, wanting the Selakian to see her face. "You've spent 30 years telling us what humans can't do," she said. "You should have spent more time learning what we can do." Within an hour, the station was under human control. Its data cores were downloaded, its technology stripped, and its defenses repurposed. But Maya had one more objective. She stood before the station's emergency broadcast system, activating a channel that would reach every Concordat outpost in the system. "This is Commander Maya Chen of Earth. For 30 years, humanity has endured Concordat restrictions, exploitation, and violence. We trusted your promises of partnership. We believed in peaceful coexistence." Her voice hardened. "That trust died with the 873 humans murdered at Saturn Colony. This station is now under human control. This is not a negotiation. This is not a plea. This is notice. The Concordat's dominion over Earth and humanity ends today." She paused, thinking of her brother's family, of all the families destroyed by Concordat arrogance. "You wanted to see what humans are capable of. You're about to find out." The transmission ended, and Maya gave the order to her teams: "Rig the station for self-destruct. We leave nothing for them to salvage." As their ships pulled away, the Concordat station erupted in a blinding flash, a new star briefly illuminating the darkness between worlds. Across the solar system, on Earth and its remaining colonies, humans watched the unauthorized broadcast. Some were horrified at the aggression. Others felt the first spark of something they'd almost forgotten: pride, defiance, hope. The Galactic Concordat had ruled through fear for centuries, intimidating younger species into submission with displays of overwhelming technological superiority. They had never faced an enemy like humanity, adaptable, resourceful, and now incandescently angry. Within hours, the Concordat High Command was dispatching warships to the Sol system. The conflict they'd begun with the Saturn massacre was about to escalate beyond anything they had anticipated. Humanity's rage had exploded, and the galaxy would never be the same. The reckoning. The Concordat response was swift and merciless. Within days of the monitoring station's destruction, a battle fleet arrived in the outer Sol system, 30 warships, each capable of laying waste to an entire continent. On Earth, panic spread as Concordat representatives delivered their ultimatum: surrender the terrorists responsible for the attack, dismantle all remaining off-world colonies, and accept permanent Concordat military bases on Earth itself. Failure to comply would result in planetary pacification. In the hidden command center beneath Europa's icy surface, Maya watched the transmission with her war council. The facility, nominally a deep-sea research station, had been converted years ago into the Phoenix Protocol's headquarters. "They're bluffing," said Admiral Rice, former commander of Earth's neutralized Space Force. "Even the Concordat wouldn't risk the diplomatic fallout of attacking a populated homeworld." Dr. Eli Kassan, once Earth's leading physicist before the Concordat restricted his research, shook his head. "You're thinking like a human with a conscience. The Concordat sees us as we see bacteria, a potential threat to be sterilized if necessary." Maya studied the fleet formations on the tactical display. They're not bluffing, but they're also not ready to glass Earth. Not yet. They want to make an example of us first. Systematic destruction of our off-world capabilities, followed by a ground invasion. She looked up. They want to humiliate us before they break us. Then we don't give them the chance, said Lieutenant Wei, the youngest of their group at 26. We hit them first. Maya smiled grimly. Exactly. She turned to Dr. Kassan. Is it ready? The physicist hesitated. Maya, what you're asking me to deploy. Is it ready? She repeated, voice hardening. Kassan sighed. The Nemesis system is operational. But Maya, this technology, there's a reason the Concordat banned quantum displacement weapons. The ethical implications alone were considered null and void when they murdered families on Saturn. Maya cut in. I understand your concerns, Eli. I share them. But the Concordat left us no choice when they decided humans were expendable. She addressed the entire room. Deploy Phase 2. All Phoenix cells activated. And prepare Nemesis for field deployment. As the others left to execute their orders, Kassan lingered. Maya, he said quietly, revenge won't bring your family back. She met his gaze steadily. This isn't about revenge, Eli. It's about survival. The Concordat was never going to allow humanity to truly join them as equals. Saturn just forced them to show their hand sooner than planned. Kassan nodded slowly. Just remember who we are. What makes us human? Or we'll become exactly what they claim we are. Violent primitives who don't deserve a place among the stars. His words followed Maya as she prepared for war, a persistent echo she couldn't quite silence. The first battle occurred near Mars, where 3 Concordat destroyers encountered what appeared to be a lightly armed human transport convoy. The aliens struck without warning, expecting an easy victory. They were wrong. The human ships, disguised cargo vessels retrofitted with technology the Concordat thought impossible for Earth to possess, unleashed hell. Quantum-shifted torpedoes phased through Concordat shields as if they didn't exist. Gravity lances warped space around the alien vessels, crushing sections of hull-like paper. Most importantly, adaptive electronic warfare suites, developed in secret by gaming companies whose code escaped Concordat scrutiny, overwhelmed alien systems. 2 Concordat destroyers were destroyed outright. The third, severely damaged, was boarded by Phoenix Protocol Marines, led by Lieutenant Wei. They captured the ship, secured its databases, and most critically, took prisoners. The first time in history that humans had captured live Concordat military personnel. When the survivors were brought before Maya on Europa, she recognized one of them, a HFY commander whose mandibles clicked nervously as she approached. You serve under Ambassador Tervik's direct command, Maya stated, accessing the intelligence they'd gathered. You were at Saturn. The alien didn't deny it. We follow orders, as do your soldiers. The difference, Maya replied coldly, is that my soldiers don't massacre civilians. She circled the alien, noting how the other captured species, Hilakians, Vryan, and others, seemed to defer to the HFY. Tell me, Commander, does the general Concordat population know what really happened at Saturn? Or did your leadership feed them the same lies about weapons research? The HFY's silence was answer enough. Maya leaned closer. Here's what's going to happen. You and your crew will be treated according to Earth's laws on prisoners of war, humanely, with medical care and proper accommodation. Then we're going to give you a choice. Return to the Concordat with the real data from Saturn, showing what your forces did, or stay here as our guests until this war ends. The HFY's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. You would allow us to return. With the truth, Maya emphasized. Because unlike what your leadership believes, humanity doesn't need to lie to win. We just need the other species in the Concordat to see what's really happening. As the prisoners were led away, Admiral Rice approached. That was risky. Some will choose to return and simply report our positions. I'm counting on it, Maya replied. Because they'll also report what they've seen. Humans who could have executed them but didn't. Technology the Concordat thought impossible for us to develop. And most importantly, evidence that the Saturn attack was unprovoked. Psychological warfare. The best kind, Maya affirmed. We can't defeat the entire Concordat in direct combat, but we can fracture it from within. The war escalated rapidly over the following weeks. Concordat forces pushed deeper into the Sol system, but encountered resistance at every turn. Human ships emerged from hiding in asteroid fields, from beneath the clouds of Jupiter, from camouflaged bases on moons and planetoids. The Phoenix Protocol had spent years preparing, and it showed. Still, the Concordat's technological advantage was real. For every alien ship destroyed, humans lost 3 of their own. Earth itself remained under blockade, its population suffering under resource restrictions while watching the war unfold through censored Concordat broadcasts. The turning point came at Proxima Centauri, Earth's nearest stellar neighbor. The Concordat had established a forward base there, preparing for what they expected to be the final push to subjugate Earth completely. Maya stood on the bridge of the Retribution, formerly a civilian cruise liner now converted into humanity's most powerful warship. Dr. Kassan worked silently at a console nearby, finalizing the Nemesis system's targeting parameters. We'll be outnumbered 10-1. Admiral Rice noted, studying the intelligence reports. Numbers don't matter today, Maya replied, her voice distant. Only resolve. The Retribution emerged from FTL at the edge of the Proxima system, accompanied by 12 smaller vessels, the bulk of humanity's remaining military capacity. Against them waited the Concordat's 7th Fleet, over 100 warships arranged in perfect defensive formation. Communications activated immediately, and the holographic form of Grand Inquisitor Zalvex materialized on the Retribution's bridge. A Silikian noble whose tendrils were adorned with ceremonial metallics signifying his high status. Commander Chen, the alien intoned, "Your resistance ends here. The Concordat has declared humanity a level 1 threat to galactic stability. Surrender now, and some portion of your species may be preserved." Maya's laugh was without humor. Preserved, like specimens in a zoo. No thank you, Inquisitor. She stepped forward, her posture straight, her voice steady. The Concordat made a fundamental error in its assessment of humanity. You saw our technological limitations and assumed weakness. You noted our divisions and assumed disunity. You observed our diplomatic efforts and mistook them for submission. Her eyes hardened. But here is what you failed to understand. Humans don't break. We adapt. We overcome. And when threatened, we unite. Poetic. The Inquisitor dismissed, but irrelevant. You face the full might of the Concordat. Your extinction is mathematically certain. Math was never my strong suit, Maya replied. Dr. Kassan. Activate Nemesis. The physicist hesitated for a crucial moment, his finger hovering over the activation sequence. Their eyes met across the bridge, his full of doubt, hers of grim determination. Ela, she said softly, remember Saturn. He nodded once and engaged the system. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a ripple in reality itself, a wave of quantum displacement energy surged from the Retribution, expanding outward at near light speed. As it reached the Concordat fleet, ships began to change. Weapons systems deactivated. Shield generators reversed polarity. Navigation systems rerouted. The Nemesis system, merely enhanced machine empathy and systems integration suite, didn't destroy the Concordat ships. It converted them, rewriting their programming at the quantum level. Kassan's genius had created something the Concordat had never imagined, technology that could communicate with and influence other technology, regardless of origin or design, through quantum entanglement. Every restriction the Concordat had placed on human research had been circumvented by thinking differently, approaching problems from uniquely human perspectives. Chaos erupted across the Concordat fleet as ships lost power, weapons targeted their own allies, and communication systems broadcast sealed Concordat directives, including the true orders behind the Saturn massacre. The holographic image of the Inquisitor flickered as his own systems were affected. "What have you done?" he demanded, mandibles twitching in agitation. "We've leveled the playing field," Maya answered, "and shared some truth with your fleet." Indeed, across the Concordat Armada, crews were receiving unfiltered data about Saturn, about the true history of Concordat expansion, about the lies their leadership had told them regarding humanity and other lesser species. "This is the only warning you'll receive," Maya continued. "Withdraw your forces from Sol. End the blockade of Earth. Acknowledge humanity's sovereignty and independence from Concordat control." The Inquisitor's image stabilized as his ship's systems partially recovered. "Or what, human? You've played your only card." Maya smiled. "Have I?" Dr. Kassan, Phase 2. The quantum ripple pulsed again, but this time, it carried a different payload. The complete Nemesis system architecture, transmitted directly to every ship in the Concordat fleet. "What we've just sent you," Maya explained, "is the technology you feared we were developing at Saturn. Except we weren't. We created it afterward, in response to your aggression." She leaned forward. "Every ship in your fleet now possesses the capability to deploy Nemesis against the Concordat central systems. If you destroy us, those ships will automatically transmit this technology to every corner of the galaxy. How long do you think your control will last when every subjugated species has the means to neutralize your technological advantage?" The bridge fell silent as the Inquisitor processed this information, his tendrils writhing in what humans had learned to recognize as extreme distress. "You would destabilize the entire galactic order," he finally said. "Billions would die in the chaos that followed." "We don't want that," Maya countered. "What we want is simple equality, recognition of humanity's right to develop without interference, and accountability for those who ordered the Saturn massacre." Before the Inquisitor could respond, communications from multiple Concordat vessels began flooding in. Maya had counted on this, the fracturing of Concordat unity as individual species reassessed their positions based on the newly revealed information. First came the Virion, whose crystalline thought structures valued truth above all else. Then the Galvi, longtime skeptics of HFY dominance within the Concordat. One by one, ships began breaking formation, signaling their unwillingness to continue the conflict. The Inquisitor watched in horror as his fleet disintegrated without a single additional shot fired. This is insurrection," he sputtered. "This is revelation," Maya corrected. "Did you really believe you could maintain control through deception forever?" Within hours, the Concordat fleet had split into 3 factions: those still loyal to Central Command, those supporting human independence, and those withdrawing from the conflict entirely to reassess their species' relationship with the Concordat. The war wasn't over, but its nature had fundamentally changed. What had begun as a straightforward punitive action against Earth had evolved into a galactic political crisis that threatened the Concordat's very existence. 3 months later, Maya stood before the newly formed Galactic Assembly on neutral ground, a space station constructed by multiple species at the halfway point between Earth and the Concordat homeworlds. Gone was her military uniform, replaced by formal diplomatic attire. But her posture remained that of a commander, her eyes still holding the hardness earned through conflict. "Humanity does not seek dominance," she told the assembled representatives. "We seek partnership based on mutual respect and recognition of sovereignty." Ambassador Terevik, now representing only the HFY, rather than the United Concordat, chittered in derision. "You demonstrated your peaceful intentions quite effectively with Nemesis, Commander." "A weapon we have not used since Proxima," Maya countered. "A weapon we developed only after you massacred our people. A weapon we could have used to destroy the Concordat entirely, but chose instead to use for revelation." The Virion representative, their crystalline form glimmering under the assembly lights, spoke next. The human position has merit. The former Concordat leadership's actions at Saturn violated our own stated principles of non-aggression against civilian populations. One by one, representatives spoke, some supporting humanity, others expressing caution, a few maintaining hostility. But they were talking, negotiating as equals rather than dictating terms. Dr. Casson, seated beside Maya, leaned close. "This is better than victory," he whispered. Maya nodded slightly, though part of her still mourned what had been lost to reach this point. No diplomatic breakthrough would bring back her family, or the others killed at Saturn. When all had spoken, Maya addressed the assembly one final time. "The stars have room enough for all our species," she said. "Humanity does not need the Concordat's permission to exist, to expand, to innovate. But we would prefer to do these things as part of a galactic community based on mutual respect and genuine cooperation." She gestured to the viewports, where Earth was visible as a distant blue dot among countless stars. "We are young by your standards. Impetuous, perhaps. Dangerous when threatened, certainly. But we also possess qualities worth knowing. Creativity, compassion, an unrelenting drive to improve both ourselves and our surroundings." Her voice softened slightly. "The Concordat sought to contain those qualities because they feared where they might lead. I invite you instead to embrace them, to see what we might achieve together rather than in opposition." The new Galactic Charter was signed 3 days later. Not a document of surrender or subjugation, but a true partnership among diverse species. The Concordat was dissolved, replaced by a more equitable alliance that recognized the sovereignty and unique contributions of each member species. As Maya prepared to return to Earth, Ambassador Terevic approached her in the station's observation deck. Despite everything, the Hekroth had survived the political upheaval with much of their influence intact, a testament to their adaptability, a quality they perhaps shared with humans. "You have changed the galaxy, Commander Chen," the alien acknowledged, mandibles moving in what she now recognized as a gesture of respect. "Not all would agree it is for the better. Change rarely comes with universal approval," Maya replied, "but it comes nonetheless." Tervik studied her with his 4 black eyes. "I underestimated your species. A mistake I shall not repeat. That's progress of a sort." The Hekroth hesitated, then added, "Those who ordered the Saturn action have been removed from authority. It may not bring justice to your dead, but it brings closure," Maya interjected, "and perhaps prevents similar atrocities in the future." They stood in silence for a moment, human and alien, former enemies now cautious associates in a new galactic reality. "What will you do now, Commander?" Tyrevik finally asked. "Return to diplomacy, or maintain your military readiness?" Maya considered the question, looking out at the stars. No longer distant points of light denied to humanity, but possibilities waiting to be explored. "Both," she answered. "Humanity is many things at once. Peaceful explorers and fierce defenders, curious scientists and determined warriors. We can extend a hand in friendship while keeping the other ready to form a fist if necessary." She turned to face the alien directly. "The same duality exists in all sentient species, I suspect. The question is which aspect we choose to nurture." Ambassador Tervik's mandibles clicked in what might have been agreement. "Indeed, a question we shall all contemplate in this new era you have helped create." As the Hekroth departed, Maya remained at the viewport, watching as shuttles and ships moved between the station and waiting vessels. Species that had been enemies weeks ago now cautiously exchanged knowledge, technology, culture. Dr. Casson joined her, his lined face showing both wariness and hope. "Was it worth it?" he asked quietly. Maya thought of her brother, of the lives lost, of the difficult choices made. She thought of Earth, now free from Concordat restrictions, its people finally able to reach for the stars on their own terms. "Ask me again in 100 years, she replied, "when we see what humanity and our new allies build together." She placed a hand against the transparent barrier, as if reaching for those distant stars. But I think it will be magnificent.